almost May.
I know, baseball season.
Baseball.
Well,
Are you into baseball now?
Shannon's a Red Sox fan. Yeah, she's into the baseballs. I love baseball. I have a hard time watching it on TV.
That's why I think like the Savannah Banana thing is.
Oh yeah, it's brilliant.
Oh yeah. It's like we're talking about Adler getting into it. Like he's into baseball, but but he's also kind of an actor. We're like, this could be perfect for him. Start training him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got to teach him how to dance, teach him how to sing,
Yeah.
teach him how to do backflips and a little baseball.
Yeah. Start getting him ready for the
Yeah.
Savannah League. I saw this video the other day, and this dad had his kid like pitching to him. They had the little baseball set up. And
Yeah.
kid pitches it to him, and he's like knocks it out of the park. He's like, that's right. And the kid was like, or no, it was the other way. He throws a pitch to his kid, and kid strikes out, and so then he goes and like picks up his glove, and they're switching over, and he's like, no, this is what you need to learn is, you get struck out, you're going to be upset, but you got to go put your gear back, go into the dugout, get your stuff together, and get back out there on the field and have a good attitude. That's what it's all about. Yeah. So, kid gets up there, and it's his turn to pitch, and his dad's like, all right, now keep that good attitude, and let's get back into it. This is the next inning, and the kid just like throws the ball and pegs him. He's like trying to teach him good sportsmanship, and the kid's not having it.
How's my hair look?
Looks good.
You're a little windblown.
Oh, yeah. Very windblown.
It's windy today.
It is windy today.
Well, let's talk about new construction today.
Yeah.
New construction.
I know.
Buying new construction homes. Residential.
Everything about new construction. It's changed a lot.
Yeah, it has.
Adam and I, we used to build homes. We had ponytails, long hair, and listening to Q95 classic rock out
All
there.
day.
Building homes, and man, it is totally different than when it was 20 years ago.
Yeah, the game's totally changed. Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that are misunderstood or just like unknowns for buyers. Mm-hmm. I talk with a lot of buyers, and we do our buyer consultation, and I bring it up. I say, "Are you guys?" We talk about the overall buying process, what they're looking for in a house, and then I ask them if they're interested in new construction, and a lot of them are like, nope, don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Just for some reason, they just don't want to do new construction. So I ask them, like, what makes it scary, or why don't you want to do it? And almost every single time they say, well, we just don't want to wait 6 months, or we don't want to wait 12 months to get into our house.
Yeah.
And that's totally changed. Mm-hmm. So,
I mean, builders are building homes with, some builders are 4 to 6 months. Some of them are 9 months. You get into more custom homes, you're looking at 12 months. But there's new construction homes out there that are ready to move in. Mm-hmm. It's the quick moves.
Most of them right now, I think, most builders right now are building spec homes, like speculatively building these homes knowing that buyers are going to come in here and buy them.
Yeah.
So a lot of them are there's the quick moves. I think every builder calls it a little something different.
Yeah.
But you don't have to wait all that long to get into a new construction home. I've got one right now where it's done, ready to go. We're closing in 30 days.
Yeah.
So it's not as long of a process as it used to be. And it's not as overwhelming, I think, for buyers because it used to be, man, and you could still do this. You could still go through the process of picking out your lot, breaking ground, going through that whole process. You can still do that. But most of the time right now, the houses have already been picked out, the different elevations, different floor plans. They've all got that laid out. And so now you just go out there and find the one that you like and can go through the process pretty normal.
Yeah. I think maybe the thing that, so realtors really like new construction because in theory, there's not a whole lot that they have to do, right? Now, I think that's kind of like a misconception because there's actually a lot.
There's a ton.
And there's
a lot more people involved.
There's a lot more people involved, but it is a more stressful process for buyers. And they need somebody there in their corner looking out for their best interests. You walk into a model home. So this is typically what process is as realtors, we want to try to find the best home for our clients. So we will go through all the options. Let's say that they want to do new construction. So we'll find some builders that are building homes that, match their criteria. We'll show up, walk through the model home, and talk with the builder's rep. And that's really the salesperson for the builder.
Well, they can be kind of salesy.
Well, they're very salesy.
Yeah, they don't have the
Some of them are
fiduciary duty that we do to our clients.
No, yeah, and that's a good point. They don't have the fiduciary duty to the clients, and they're looking out for the builder's best interests. Mm-hmm. So, us as realtors really need to be there for our clients when they're going through this whole new construction process. There's a lot of ins and outs that they're going to have questions about, and I find a lot of times if you've already established that rapport with your clients, they're going to come to you, the realtor, to get those questions answered. Mm-hmm. And sometimes those builder reps are hard to get in touch with,
Sometimes, yeah.
So, that's first step. You go in, walk through, talk with the builder's rep, and then you find the one that you want. And then that's where you really get the ball rolling on the whole process. I don't know if it's like this with a lot of builders, but back in the day, and I think with some builders nowadays, you sit down at that point and you pick out your elevation, right? Mm-hmm. The elevation is what the front of the house looks like, for those of you that don't know. And then you start picking through the finishes. Yeah. Some builders, they have limited options, and you kind of pick a package. Some builders are more, here's all of your, you've done more new construction than I have. Are people really laying it out like you can pick your floors, and you can pick the doorknobs, and you can pick the
you've got different levels of new construction. You got different levels of builders. The production builders. You've got them everywhere from, Lennar to, now I'm totally drawing a blank on a lot of these.
Dries,
D.R. Horton, some of those. Mm-hmm. A lot of those builders right now are building these homes ready to go.
Yeah.
And there's this whole anti-monotony rule that all builders try to follow. And the anti-monotony rule is basically having certain restrictions on certain floor plans, certain elevations, to try to avoid this whole cookie cutterness that I think a lot of people don't like or haven't liked over the years when it comes to new construction. Yeah. So nowadays you can drive through some of these neighborhoods and they're not very cookie cutter.
Yeah.
All the houses are a little bit different. And so when they go to lay out, they've got their map of all the lots. They'll go and they'll pick each lot and they'll put the floor plans on it and they'll select the elevations and then that's it. And they're pretty much set in stone. And then a buyer can come in and start picking out some of their finishes. That's pretty typical right now. I think really what's more typical is the house is already done. We're seeing way more quick move-ins than we've ever seen before.
Yeah.
But you get into not custom, but like the next level up of a production home where you're getting into like your David Weekley or your Fisher homes. They do kind of lay it all out there and you've got a lot of selections. Yeah. And you can sit there for 2 hours with that builder rep picking out all the things.
Yeah.
So, typically, whether they've already selected the elevation or not, you're still going out there and you're finding where you want the house to be in the neighborhood and picking out your lot. And then from there, it's pretty much set on the elevation and the floor plan. But then you can start picking out a lot of those different options inside. What type of flooring do you want? What sort of appliance package do you want? And they'll list through all the things. I always tell my clients when you go in, shoot for the moon. Get the upgraded oven hood, get the upgraded appliance package, get the upgraded lighting, and then see what that number looks like at the bottom. If it fits your budget, great. Then you can start pulling stuff off from there. But one thing that I think everybody, even agents, got to be a little bit kind of aware of is you can over-improve these new construction homes, and these new construction homes still have to go through an appraisal process.
Yeah.
So, I always like to ask when I'm there advocating for my clients is, has anybody built out a home to this level? Have you guys sold any homes at this price?
It's a good question to ask.
Right?
Yeah.
Because if not, we might have an appraisal issue. And the way that it works with new construction is if that home doesn't appraise, you got to figure out how to buy that house.
Yeah.
And figure out how to come up with the cash.
Well, that's, you make a good point. Like, I think the realtors are there to really kind of do some guidance. Like there's certain things that you can do to a home after the fact. And there's certain things that when it comes to resale value, like you can't really change it. If you're going into a neighborhood where majority of those homes have 3-car garages and you want to get a 2-car garage to save money there, when it comes to resale, it's going to be a disadvantage, I think, to those homeowners because they've got a 2-car compared to the 3-car.
Yeah, we're there looking out for their resale value a lot of times.
Yeah.
Now, I asked that question. I go, how many of the homes in here have 2-car garages versus 3-car garages? You don't want to be the only house in there with a 2-car garage. Mm-hmm. That could totally kill you when you go to sell it someday.
Yeah.
The premium lots. There are certain lots that have a premium with it. If it backs up to a pond or a tree line or something like that, builders will put a premium on it. So is that gonna help with your resale value?
Yeah.
So asking those kind of questions as a real estate agent for your client, I think, is important. That's one of the reasons why we got to be there.
Yeah. Well, so let's say you pick out the lot, you pick out the elevation, you got all the things that you want in this home. The process is very involved, and really the first thing that they do is they break ground, and that's when they're going to put in the foundation, and they literally build the home from the ground up. And there's going to be several times throughout this building process where they'll bring in typically it's like city inspectors. Now there's really a 3-phase type of inspection that I always recommend. If you're getting a home built, have it inspected by a third-party home inspector.
Third-party, independent, not there for the builder or for the city.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because even though you can have the best builder in the world, if it's Friday night before the big game and the contractors are out there trying to get shit done before they, go leaving for the weekend, that might try to rush a few things. You never know.
Oh yeah, I've seen that where it's the last outlet of the whole house, and they're going fast and they wire it backwards.
Yeah,
you know.
There's all kinds of things. I mean, I did quite a bit of new construction inspections back when I was a home inspector, and there was all kinds of things. I think I mentioned it before, but one home didn't have insulation. There was
What about the microwave? Remember that?
Yeah, there was one where the closing was going to happen a couple of days after the inspection. So I came in, I think it was like on a Wednesday. They were closing on a Friday. I go through and inspect everything, and I'm in there in the kitchen, running the dishwasher, checking the stove, making sure it heats up and everything's working fine. And I'm making some comments on my computer, and I just start smelling like burning. And I was like, that's not good. So I kind of quickly walked around the first floor.
Like electrical burning?
Yeah, it was like electrical burn.
Yeah. That is a very specific smell.
So you know that smell.
Yeah.
And so I walked back into the kitchen, and there's smoke rolling out of the microwave. And, I thought it was the microwave. I opened the microwave. There's nothing going on.
Oh, yeah.
I opened the cabinet up above, and where it was actually an outlet that they plugged it in. And that thing was sparking and almost caught on fire. So I ran into the garage, turned the breaker off, and it was a faulty breaker. And I think actually it was probably a combination of not being wired right and a faulty breaker. But things can happen, so it's very important to get a home inspection when you're building the home. But like I said, there's several phases throughout this process. And one thing I always tell people to keep in mind when you're going through the building process is the home's not finished until it's finished. Okay, so if you're the type of person that lives close to the home that's being built, and you like to keep tabs on what's going on, and you walk in and you're like, this isn't right, don't stress too much, because it's a process. And sometimes I've seen walls get built in the wrong place.
Yeah,
and it gets caught, and they fix it.
I've seen countertops totally crooked, and it didn't get fixed till closing day. I have so many times doing the final walkthrough. Typically on new construction, you do your final walkthrough and then go straight to closing.
Yep.
And we've done our final walkthrough, and as we're walking in, painters are walking out.
Yeah,
they're just getting it done in the nick of time.
Yeah. So if you're a very clean, detail-oriented, organized type of person, this process will stress you out because it's not clean, it's not detailed, it's not organized.
Yeah.
Now the final product ends up being a great product, but the whole process, it could be it's like a tornado. You
Yeah.
know, it's a whirlwind.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of similarities. So, like, you do a home inspection on a regular house too. Backing up before you even really start that whole process, the purchase agreement is different than the state real estate purchase agreement.
Yeah.
Every builder's got their own purchase agreement that they want you to sign. It's not a lot of stuff that you can change on that. But one thing that I've seen change over the years with building is the incentives that builders are offering.
Yeah.
And this changes a lot. During COVID, when homes were just selling themselves, a lot of builders were not offering a whole lot of commission to buyer's agents to bring in the buyer's agents. Or sometimes you would hear builder reps say, well, you could save a little bit of money if you didn't have your real estate agent involved. That's totally false.
Yeah.
Because builders have a budget that's already built in. They have already accounted for the fact that they're going to have to pay for a buyer's agent. And it's really a marketing cost for them. Builders want to market to these real estate agents so that all of us licensed agents bring our buyers over there and can do the deal.
Yeah.
And so what we've been seeing for several years now is these incentives that builders are offering, and they're hard to beat.
I know.
When it comes to interest rates, some of these builders have gone out and they've pre-bought mortgages for all these pre-built homes. And because they've done this and they've got a relationship with the bank, they've been able to work out an insane interest rate that you're not going to be able to get buying a resale home.
Yeah.
So
I just looked at one last weekend. The current interest rate right now for a conventional loan is 6.1%. They're offering a 4.99.
dang.
It's pretty dang good.
Yeah, do the math on that.
So, if you are thinking about new construction, if it is in play, look at the monthly cost. If you're looking at spending $3,000 a month on your mortgage, well, you can either go buy an older home at a 6.1% interest rate or get a new home at a cheaper interest rate that's brand new, maybe a little bit bigger, has some more things going on for the exact same amount of monthly cost.
Yeah.
And
they'll work with you on like closing dates too, and they'll work with you on your situation. A lot of times they'll like you were just working with one, right, where somebody was in a lease.
Yeah, we're looking at new construction. They're in a lease until next year, so they got like 6-7 months left. What month are May? They got like 6-7 months left on their lease. Well, the builders asked them, like, how much do you owe? What would it cost to break your lease? And they're like, I don't know, probably, I think we would have to pay at least $8,000. And he's like, okay, we'll help you break your lease. We'll pay that for you.
Yeah.
So, if it comes down to like you're in a lease situation and you don't want to break your lease, go buy a resale value. The seller's probably not going to pay
they're not going to pay.
But the builders will pay to break the lease for you because there is a lot more inventory out there than what we've seen in the last few years for new construction.
And with the real estate market slowing down a little bit, we talk about this a lot right now. There's so many things going on in the world that the market is a little bit slower. Homes are not selling as fast. And so there are builders sitting on a ton of inventory that they got to move.
Yeah.
Because they need to sell some of those houses so that they can get into the next phase. Like a lot of builders, they have a full neighborhood, but they will only release certain phases or stages of it. Like this, they'll do the front part of it, and they'll call that phase 1. And once they sell all that out, then they'll open up the next phase. Mm-hmm. And so if they're sitting on a bunch of inventory, they can negotiate. And in fact, like the last handful that I've done, I've been able to talk them down on price. I've been able to get closing costs covered and get a better interest rate.
Yeah. I think the one aspect of new construction that most people probably don't think about is just your overall living and maintenance cost. So, you get into, let's say, a 1970s home for $400,000 and a brand new home for whatever it would cost, the same monthly, right? Those older homes, if it hasn't been like redone, doesn't have a brand new roof, doesn't have brand new HVAC and all that stuff, you're looking at changing those or doing some repairs rather quickly, I would say. Where with a new construction home, everything's brand new. You don't have to worry about anything for at least 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because your roof's probably going to get, most of them are doing a dimensional shingle right now.
Yeah,
architectural,
20, 30 years.
25 to 30 years. They're putting in high efficiency furnaces. Almost all of them are. So you're going to get 25 years out of that. I'm seeing a lot of builders doing tankless water heaters.
I just saw that the other day.
Right now. So you, as an inspector, how many years do you get out of a tankless?
Well, tankless is different. It all depends on the maintenance, but we could talk about tankless some other day. Tankless, they're great. It's the you never run out of hot water system, but they do require a lot more maintenance than a typical.
Yeah. But they give you a little bit more lifespan, right?
Oh yeah,
You know, you don't have to worry about older sewer lines. You don't have to worry about windows. Windows, you get about 20 years out of a window.
Yeah.
Before they start to not be as efficient. So yeah, new construction, you move in, same price. You got
your maintenance costs. You have none.
Yeah, you have none for a long time.
So that's always something to consider when you're looking at your annual cost of the home. There's always something to fix on a home. And on the new constructions, you don't. And every builder at least has a 1-year warranty. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen a builder that doesn't have one.
Yeah.
And at the end of that 1-year period, you can either go to them or they come to you and they'll do a whole inspection. Some of them will do an inspection. Some of them you have to report any kind of known issues, and then they'll come out and make it right. And so you've got that 1-year protection where anything that goes wrong, they'll come out and fix it, which is
well.
great.
And I think that's part of our job is to be the advocate for the buyer. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not only just helping them find the right house so they've got the best resale value, and then negotiating the best terms for them up front, but then going through the process, being an advocate for them because things change. And sometimes builders will just try to stick you with something like, sorry, we can't get a washer and dryer. You're not going to get a washer and dryer.
Yeah.
Well, if you're just a regular old person trying to buy the house directly with the builder's rep, you may not understand what all is going on in the background and that there's always a way to get another washer and dryer over there from another house. So it's our job to advocate for them.
Yeah.
You know, I've had new construction deals where we show up and landscaping and some painting wasn't done. You know, and they're just like, guys, don't worry about it. It's going to be fine. Well, no. If my folks want to move in and they want to close today, you're going to put something in writing that says all this stuff's going to be done within 30 days.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of things that we can be an advocate for our clients as real estate agents doing new construction. It's not all that easy, and it's not just like a hands-off, show up and collect a paycheck.
No.
I think that there's a lot of ways that we can bring a lot of value as real estate agents during the new construction process.
Yeah. The pricing is something that has kind of been blowing my mind. Mm-hmm. Everybody that I talk to, especially people that have been thinking about buying over the last few years, they all say the same thing. Man, prices, they're through the roof. Mm-hmm. They're crazy. New construction prices are really competitive. In our sales meeting the other day, Jeremy Sandlin, he's got another neighborhood he's working in. I can't remember where it was, but I swear he said that they were starting at like $265.
Yeah.
For a brand new.
Julie's got one right now. It's $250
for a brand new home.
Brand new home.
So there you go. If new construction is appealing to you, prices can be really good. There's a lot of neighborhoods where you're looking at that $250 to $350 mark. Then I've been seeing some that are really starting in like the $350s to $450. Mm-hmm. And then once you get over $450, prices start to go up, I think, kind of quick.
Yeah, there's a pretty big gap. I've got one right now where it's $920. I did one. There's, you get up into Westfield and Chatham where they're building a lot of stuff. I mean, you're in the 800,000s
minimum,
for those, and it's not a custom home. Great house, really cool. Mm-hmm. Soaring ceilings, grand entryways, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, the price ranges are all over the place. And I think another thing that buyers start to get hesitant on when it comes to building is, I can build a house. I can get one for $250 or I can get one for $8 or whatever fits my budget. But where's that neighborhood? Is it out in the middle of nowhere where there's no amenities? And sometimes there are. Sometimes these builders start building before there's ever any grocery stores or amenities around, and it takes a few years to get built up. Yeah. But there's a lot of new construction going on in the city too. It's different. It's a different builder. It's a little bit different process. But you and I have had those clients where they want to buy the land and then they want to build on it. Mm-hmm. And that process used to be really tough. Yeah. I mean, talk about a lot of stuff and getting overwhelmed. Yeah. They called it a construction perm where you would, I mean, it was like 3 different loans. You get a loan for the land to buy the land, and then you'd get your plans all together, and then you'd submit it, and then you'd get the loan for the building. And then part of that process would allow for contractors to pull money out of it called draws. Then they'd pull money out of it till they finished the house. Then once they finished the house, they went through an appraisal process and they took all the mortgages, took all the money involved, and they wrapped it all up into one permanent loan.
Yeah.
Now there is some great products out there where you can get in, you can do it all just with one loan, and it's a lot simpler process, and you can do it with all kinds of different financing that's out there.
Yeah. So the financing side of things has gotten a lot simpler.
Your options,
You got good options.
a lot of options.
The building process is sped up in good ways, I think. I think the other thing to consider when you're looking to get into a home is, or let's say a new construction home, is what stage is the neighborhood in? And if it's a neighborhood that's got 250, 300 lots that they're going to be building on, and you're the first one in, you're probably going to be living in a construction zone for a while.
True, but that's usually where you get the better pricing too.
Yeah, that's where you get the better price.
Because if they're if they're trying to get to that third phase, and they know that they got to sell a bunch of these houses in the first phase, especially if there's some of the, like I did one a year or so ago where we were like the third house that they put under contract, and by the time they got done building that house, this was a longer process. It was straight up out of the ground. They went, full process. Picked the lot, picked the elevation, picked all the finishes, broke ground, did that whole thing. And it was about an 8-month process. And by the time we got to 8 months out, that same floor plan went up $100,000. I also had one where very similar process. They built, they signed the contract, and let's say it was like $420,000. And by the time they got to the end, and this is where they do their appraisal, is at the end with the finished product, the home appraised for $485,000.
Wow.
Awesome deal.
Yeah. Instant equity.
But when you are brand new in the neighborhood, get some tire insurance.
Oh man, I always thought if I was if somebody was smart, they could start a tire repair business
Right
next to new construction. Find out where all the new construction is.
If you do a mobile tire repair, just pull up to the neighborhood.
Yeah, do a deal with the builder and be like,
There you go. Yeah, I'll come through on Fridays and
yeah.
give it all your homeowners a deal on the tires.
Well, the homeowners, the contractors, like,
yeah.
I wonder how many flat tires people get throughout a year in a new construction.
I mean, I've gotten nails in my tire driving showing new construction.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but one thing too, I think a lot of buyers get concerned about is the noise and the banging and all the stuff. They're done by a certain time. It's not like they're working all night long.
Yeah.
It's not that annoying. But it is something to consider.
I mean, there's only the loud parts are only while they're framing.
Yeah.
Once they get the framing done,
It's all
it
inside.
it's all inside.
Yeah.
So, and you're not, dump trucks nowadays aren't that loud. I mean,
No.
they're going to have electric dump trucks at some point, so you'll never hear them. Yeah.
Well, another thing where we can bring some value is when you're doing kind of like, they call it the final walk. This isn't the final walk through before you go sign. They call it the celebration walk, or it's like the home celebration, or there's like a couple different terms that they'll use for it. Mm-hmm. And what that meeting is you walk through, if you've been out there and you've heard about like the taping of all the stuff, you've ever seen the memes of just like pieces of tape all over. Yeah. What they do is they give you some tape and they say, walk through and put some tape on anything that you don't like, any blemishes, any little cracks, any nicks in the wall or anything like that. I did one, and man, this guy
ran out of tape.
Oh, he did not. At one point, he just turns to me and he makes the comment. He's like, "You had to be here, didn't you? You had to make my job hard." And he was joking about it.
Yeah.
But I was the one that was pointing out some of the stuff that my buyers didn't see, or they didn't think it was a big deal, and I made it a big deal. You're buying a brand new construction home. Yeah. But I will also say this too, and I say this to all my clients that are buying new construction. You got to know this, that these homes are being built with materials that are not perfect by people who aren't perfect.
Yeah.
There is no way to have a absolutely perfect home.
No.
It's just, you can have a very good home, everything's dialed in, but it's almost impossible to have a perfect house. Yeah. Perfectly squared walls, everything in line. It's really, really tough to get that with new construction.
Yeah. I don't know. Someday they might start 3D printing on these homes, and
I bet you they already are.
Well, I saw a thing where there was a machine that's building concrete homes, and it basically just goes around and it like builds up all the walls, and then I think another machine comes in and does like the roof. They have this robot that like shingles. The contractor's like, AI will never take my job. I saw a robot roofing a house. And
that's
it
crazy.
it wasn't a remote control robot.
That's crazy.
So I think at some point, the imperfectness will, I wouldn't say go away, but because people will always use
Yeah.
wood and drywall and screws and
Let me ask you this. You've done a lot of inspections on new construction. Let me ask you this. In general, when somebody's doing a home inspection, at what age of a home do you recommend doing a sewer scope?
I think it should be done in every home. That's what I think.
What do most home inspectors say? Like if I call the inspection company, then I'm setting up the inspection for my clients, and then we're talking about that. Like I've had them say certain things to me, but what have you heard?
Well, if they sell sewer scopes, then
That's true.
they'll probably recommend it. No, I think, Home Experts of Indiana, that's a company that we use quite a bit. The last time that I really talked with them, they've had issues with new construction. And so I always recommend doing it on every home. Now, if you're like 90s and newer, you're probably fine. But you never know. I mean, there could be a faulty joint, where they just didn't get it together,
Yeah.
even though it's PVC and it's all brand new, and it can start to cause some issues. So, I mean, you never know. And the other thing is it's underground. So,
Yeah.
there's no way.
Yeah, I think I don't worry about it so much if the house is, 5 to 10 years old.
Yeah.
It's worked out at the kinks and everything should be
Yeah,
fine
if
with
it's like a 10-year home and they haven't had any issues
Yeah.
and the inspector doesn't find any like water backing up or anywhere, you're probably fine.
Yeah. But what I've also heard with brand new construction is that if there is a problem, a lot of times it's right there at the foundation. Because when they build these houses and they pour, especially if you've got a basement, they're going to go down 12 feet sometimes to pour the footer. And you got this big footer that's going to carry the load of the concrete wall that makes up the basement. And then you've got a sill plate that sits on top of that concrete wall where the house framing all sits. And so that footer and everything is all it's all carrying that load. Well, during the construction process, all the dirt gets pulled back away from the house. Quite a bit. It's pretty crazy looking. And so when they get done doing all the final connections, they backfill it. Well, that's where a lot of settling can happen. And if they've got the pipe in here and it's getting supported by the pea gravel and that settlement starts to happen, sometimes they can just come disconnected right there at the foundation.
Yeah.
Another thing that I have seen is construction debris.
That's the number one that I've seen.
Yeah.
It's
Big chunks of
concrete, screws.
Yeah.
I mean, you name it. Wash rags, stuff that does not go down a drain or decompose.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think you're right. If it's like been lived in for 8, 9, 10 years with no issues, you're probably okay. But I think as realtors, give your clients that option. Tell them, this is what the cost is. I mean,
I've done a lot I've bought a few houses, and a lot of the times I'm just doing a sewer scope and checking out the roof,
yeah,
the things that I can't see.
yeah.
You know,
The sewer inspection is, if you're on city utilities, it's the best money you could possibly spend. I mean, you're looking at $250, $300 maybe,
Yeah.
and to find out if you've got a $10,000 to $20,000 problem. So I think it's always good money.
so you're going to be on a sewer for the most part, city sewer, but sometimes if you're going to buy the land and then you're going to build on it, a lot of times there aren't city utilities running down that street, and you've got to put in a septic. So one thing, if you're a real estate agent that's out there and you're helping your clients navigate this, put in a contingency on being able to get the utilities that you want on that property. Because sometimes, let's say you're buying a pretty good sized lot, you got the room to put in a septic, but because of where the house needs to be situated based off of setbacks and certain things that you got to stick to, there's only a certain spot where you can actually put that septic tank. And the city will come out and they'll basically make sure that the ground itself can handle that. There's certain tests that they do to the ground to see. And I have heard from people say, nope, there's no way to put a septic tank on here.
Yeah.
So don't get your client stuck into a big deal and then all of a sudden find out you can't put a septic tank in there and not have a way out of that deal.
Yeah. Well, all the things that we're talking about with new construction, it's really, we're talking about, neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Right. The other new construction that you can do, which I think this is really like the American dream, is you go buy a piece of land and you build on it, right? Just build whatever you want. Though the biggest thing that I think people need to be aware of when it comes to doing that whole process is you're not just buying the land and building the house. There's utility costs that you got to take into consideration.
Yeah, to put in a septic, it's expensive.
To put in a septic, you're probably looking at maybe $30,000. To put in a well, if you can't get access to the municipal water lines, you're probably looking at another $20,000, $30,000 for a well. Power, not as expensive, but there's another cost there. So it's not just the land and the house. It's the other things that make the house work that you have to take into consideration when you're doing that. But
I love the new construction process. I love seeing
too.
it during framing, and
it smells good.
It's the only time when you buy a house where you know what's in the walls, right?
Yeah.
You go buy a resale home, you don't know where everything is in the walls. You don't know where the gas lines are, water lines are.
Yeah.
It's a new construction. And I tell my clients, go through that when it's, pre-drywall and take as many photos as you can.
Yeah.
You ever decide you're going to go hang that giant moose head that you took in Canada and you don't know exactly what's going on in the framing and structure?
Go back to those photos.
Yeah, go back to those photos and you'll know exactly where to hang it.
Yeah. Well, if any of you are thinking about new construction, if that's something that appeals to you, there's a lot of good resources out there. And if you're in the Indianapolis area and you're thinking about it and you want some advice, give us a call. You could shoot us an email at info@catronpropertygroup.com. We've got a ton of experience with new construction. It's not as expensive as some people think, and it is a fun process.
Yeah. And if you're an agent or a consumer out there that you got any value out of this at all, like this here and subscribe. We're love talking about construction. We're going to keep bringing you guys a bunch more info. But like I said, if you guys got questions, reach out to us. That's what we're here for.